Hello, all you beautiful people. This is Intentional Healing, and I'm Nicole Bridger. It is such an honor to get to do this work with you guys. And if this is your first time tuning into the show, I really want to encourage you to go back to the first few shows that are leading up to this one so that we're speaking the same language, that you understand the concepts, and that you've started doing the work. In order for this show to really make sense, you have to have started bringing the mindfulness. And please, no rush. There's no rush to this work. Because today, I want to start talking about our default modes, often referred to as our shadow side, our subpersonalities. But before we begin, let's take a deep breath and allow ourselves to be here. Everything calling your attention in your day will still be there when we're done. But for now, give yourself the gift of just being here. So in our last show, we started talking about intentional thoughts, about focusing on what we really want to feel, and starting to notice our resistance, the negative thoughts that we were having when trying to focus on the good feelings. So now you've had some time to start practicing and start noticing the negative thoughts. The next kind of step is to start naming these personalities. So I like to call it your default modes. And all of us have quite a number of default modes, but a few that we go to most regularly. In other practices, people refer to them as subpersonalities. You might be familiar with. The reason that I don't love that is it kind of gives you a feeling like you're schizophrenic or there's something wrong with this or something not okay, that you shouldn't be having these thoughts. And that kind of feeling around this work actually exacerbates those thoughts and gives them more hold. The term shadow side, which also is used a lot. Nothing wrong with these terms. I just find for myself that shadow side gives a sense of darkness, of that it's wrong. And so what we want to do is help our brain not jump into these old beliefs that will keep us in resistance. For me, the term default mode has a kind of lightness to it. It's just a mode that we go into when we're not being mindful and intentional. It's just an old habitual mode that we slip into very easily because we have so many times for so long. The first step into starting to work with our default modes is to first just bring an awareness. So we all have a bunch of default modes, as I said. One of mine is the fixer. There's nothing I can't fix, nothing I can't handle. You have a problem, let me fix it. This is a default mode. I also have a default mode of the giver. Let me give to you. Let me almost overly give to a point where, for me, it's about feeling like I'm giving the most. Therefore, I'm good. Some people's default modes is to work. We got to work to get somewhere. That, your actual self-worth is tied into the amount that you're working, what you're outputting, what you're producing. And so when we're triggered, we go into these default modes. Another one is the victim. Why me? It's not fair. The thing about this work, as you get into it, is that you are actually responsible for everything that comes into your life. So you are not the victim of circumstance. Once you start to learn to be an intentional thinker, you actually realize that you are the one in control and of everything that happens to you, that you draw it in subconsciously with the thoughts that you choose. I like this because it helps me to think that I'm not just a victim to circumstance, that life isn't just happening to me, that actually I can intentionally create the life I want. So there are a bunch of default modes that you will notice. And I want you to start to name them, start to become aware of them. An easy way to name them is to listen. So this is the next step. Our first reaction when we start feeling negative things or thinking negative things is to push it down. It's not okay to think those things. It's not okay to feel those things and push them away. This actually builds the resistance. And what you want to do is to just listen without judgment, without making it wrong, because this part of you exists whether you choose to listen to it or not. But the way that you dissipate its hold on you is by taking a deep breath and listen. So what is it saying? So for me with the fixer, I really want it to, if there's a problem, let me fix it. My self-worth, my identity is wrapped around this idea that I'm a fixer. I can fix it. I'm of worth. I fix things for other people. Now, something really important to notice or to note is that this work isn't about you all of a sudden becoming a different person. Okay, for those of you that are the workaholics, that are the workers, you're terrified that by doing this work means that you're going to be sitting on the couch all the time. That is not this work. This work is about checking in on what's the intention behind your action. What is the deeper voice that's driving every action that you take? So let me tell you a quick story that when I really understood this concept. I am a giver, I'm a nurturer. That's a natural thing for me. Let's pause while the dogs are barking. Come here. What's it? What's it? What's it? What's it? What's it? What's it? No bark. Okay, you can edit that part out. Okay, so let's come back. I'm going to share a story with you right now that is a time for me when I really understood this concept. So I'm a giver, a nurturer. That feels good for me. I was at the time dating somebody and his mom was quite sick and I was left alone with her to take care of her. And it felt very natural for me to give out of love, to help her, to dress her, to nurture her. Felt good. But then when he showed up, There was a little slip in the feeling behind my action. There was a voice saying, do you see me now? Do you love me now? Am I enough now? And so in that moment, I really saw how the action could be the same. But when I check into the intention, that one came from my true self and one came from my broken self. And so that is the work here, is just tuning in and asking, am I doing this from my true self or my broken self? Am I doing this because I love myself or because I hate myself? As you start to listen to what this voice is saying, there will be a general theme that helps you name the default mode. Like I named my fixer, my giver. The point of that is just so that you become more aware of when you slip into that default mode. No big deal, I'm just slipping back into that mode. Like the example I just gave, I could say to myself, oh, no big deal. I see how I was just slipping into that default mode of please love me. Okay, let's come back to my true self, my true voice that knows that I am worthy of love just as I am. As you start to listen to this voice, as you start to name this default mode, the next step is to forgive it. As we learned back in a few shows, this part of your brain, these thoughts, were formed as a way to keep you safe. You were a child and you experienced something that you didn't want to experience. You experienced feelings that you didn't know what to do with, and you created a thought that would keep you safe from experiencing these feelings again. You want to forgive this part of you. Thank this part of you that has been working so hard your entire life to keep you safe. Thank you. And I forgive you for ever thinking something that was not true. As you start to do this, you will notice that this will dissipate its hold on you. There becomes a kind of ease. Please give yourself a little bit of breathing space, a little bit of time to practice this. We are so used to coming from this mode that it's very easy for us, especially when triggered, to jump right back into it. Again, the steps: awareness that that's what you're doing, listen, forgive. And now, really intentionally stepping into those thoughts, into the thoughts that are in alignment to your true self. So in that example, being triggered by overly giving, I was overly giving to a point of please love me, forgiving that part of me that really just wanted to be loved, wanted to be seen. And now tuning into my true voice that knows I am lovable just as I am. And with intention, creating the new thought that is in alignment to that. And this is about stepping into a place of allowing. As you practice this, as you listen to your true voice, as you forgive your broken voice, you step into a place of allowing. You step into a place of partnership with your divine self. You start to practice what it's like to live an existence in alignment to your true self and to the entire divine knowing. I hope that you are starting to get an awareness around this idea of your default mode, this idea of the difference between your mind voice and your spirit voice. And that with a lot of love, a lot of patience, a lot of kindness, and a lot of practice, that you're slowly able to start spending more time existing from a place of your true self. It takes time. Just like anything. You know, if you're training for a marathon, you can't just run for 3 hours one day and then be done. It's every day practicing a little bit. Give yourself this space and time. And if you do slip up and you see and you notice yourself coming from that default mode, do not make it wrong. It's okay. It's just this part of you trying so hard to keep you safe. I wish you really happy, enjoying practicing this stuff. And just coming back to it. And I really look forward to when we meet again and we continue with this incredible process. I promise you that I understand that it's uncomfortable. I understand that it's unfamiliar. I understand that there's a huge part of you that just wants to stay in your resistance and screw this whole process because it's just too uncomfortable, just too scary. And I promise you that you are held, that you are okay, that you are safe, and that it is totally okay to start spending more time in the feelings that you do want. You are on this journey of creating the life that you know deep down inside that is possible and that you truly desire. And I'm really excited for you on that. Thank you so much for being with me today, and I look forward to next time. Take care.